Okay, so I've been having some issues with my SD card, so fingers crossed this is actually going to record. But as you see, progress has been made. The GPS has been fitted between the sort of front canopy and the back canopy. I've also had fitted the FY41, well not fitted but placed FY41 in receiver to know roughly where I'm going to put that. So I'm actually moving on to installing the motors. Now, the motors I had got for this and speed controllers are these. Let me grab them. So I bought this during a sale at Hobby King for like £10. Two Dual Sky 30 amp speed controllers and the connection. That's for like out of Sky Mule or something like that. And then 3 of these motors, 2 and then 1 as a spare. Now these motors, now a friend of mine has a 30, what I believe must be 3536, well I know they are, 3536 750 kV. I saw these because the 750s were out of stock. They're only 800 kV. I thought, well, 50 kV difference doesn't matter too much. Maybe go down from like an 11 to a 10-inch prop, something like that at max. But they're fucking minuscule. I got 28 by 35 instead. Pillock. I don't really know what else I'm going to use these in, because I think these are going to be too low of a kV if you're using the S1100 Reptile. So there's like a tricopter where you can put them in. Didn't particularly want to buy any motors because Hobby King didn't have any. Still, I've double checked any suitable. And Banggood were like expensive, like for some sunny sky. They were like 28 quid, and like wouldn't be here. I've got a week off at the moment, and wouldn't be here for doing this time. But I actually managed to find in one of my drawers 1 and 2 Hyperion motors. Very expensive. They're sort of up there with hackers and things like that. This one actually was out of the Multiplex Easy Glider, which was my first FPV plane. So there we are, some nostalgia here. This a bit more well used than this one, which looks more or less brand new. I think it was on the back of an X5 flying wingless, which ended up flat spinning every time you turn the corner with it, which was kind of entertaining. But yeah, I have these. Nuts and prop washers are going to be no problem. We had a lot of Hyperions earlier on in electrics. These were sort of our pro brand that we went to after we got loads of cheap ones from like BRC Hobbies and RCM Direct, places like that. Wonder if I know BRC Hobbies are going, but they're more or less just Robot Birds the second. Wonder if RCM Direct are still going. We used to get all our batteries and everything from them. They basically just imported Chinese motors and things, but very good. So yeah, so these are ZS 3014-14s, which means that they are 972 kV, so slightly higher than what I wanted, but they're still going to be fine. Still very efficient motors, certainly not cheap. In fact, this website that I found this information on currently has only one available, because I believe they've stopped making them, for €78. Now these would have been got from Robot Birds, I believe, or Gliders, one or the other. While they are great motors, probably best buying the Sunny Skies. It's just I don't want to wait and pretty skint. Well, low on cash, I want to try and be sensible. So yeah, I'm going to use these. I've also got 2 of these, which I believe are Red Brick 50 amps. The same SKU. I've found 2 of them. I don't know the exact whether they're Becked or not, but I'm pretty sure these are 50. So just getting ready to install these. What I'm going to do is I've found the largest wire I can get away with, where I can actually, in the main track, fit 2 next to each other, red and black. I'm going to put connections on here and on the actual 3 on this end. The reason why is that just to make them easy to swap out. I always like stuff being easy to swap out, having to solder loads of things, especially compared to like a mini quad. This is around foam, so I mean this model has already got enough dings. That's a massive hair. That could possibly mean I had a haircut today. So yeah, I mean that's just about only just long enough. But yeah, another thing is that if I was going to solder it up, I'd probably end up soldering just 2 random bits of cable on to like out here somewhere, and then have to solder more on from there. Again, a nightmare. Whereas these, I can get the actual wings glued on with these in, and then sort out the wires from there. But yeah, so on with some soldering. Okay, so as you can see, I have got this built. So this, if you look inside, just a spring, this sort of plastic pin, it has a pin going that way and this sort of pin that comes out the front. As you can see, not brilliant at the moment. Make sure you cut off, there's like a little bit of, on the bottom of here, come on, a little bit of like where you've popped off the plastic, make sure you get rid of that. So that's all clicked together, it's actually glued, but I'll glue it into the canopy in a second. And then I've also glued the middle bits of wing on. As you may notice, there's a lot of Gorilla Glue here. I used Gorilla Glue so to try to fill up some of the gaps. It's done very well down the back, if you actually better than I thought it would. So that's good news. Motors are in, speed controllers on one side is in, I've got to put the other one in. And then we can look at putting most of the other electronics in. Okay, so as you can see, I've built the bottom wing. Now, these servos are actually slightly too long, so this is bowed slightly. But basically, you screw the servo to the hatch, and then you put the hatch in. You've got like a plate underneath you have to glue in as well. Cable to through there. Got the little servo wire sticking out there, all ready for usage. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is look at doing all the wiring for the mid section of the wing. As you can also tell, the tail is back on. Happy days. Okay, so no idea really where we're up to, so I'll just sort of go over everything we're up to the moment. So the motors are in, speed controllers attached, there's some Gorilla Tape underneath keeping all the cabling in. Front we've got our run cam Swift on one of the Hobby King, is that going to show up? Turnigy servos, don't know how good they are but we'll see. So yeah, Hyperion motors, just because what I had laying around, for GPS on top of course. Have a look inside, I've put a little magnet on but they're not brilliant. Slightly concerned because I have no idea what that is. Oh, it's at the front, okay, that makes sense. So in the front it's quite hard to see, but there is the airspeed sensor, so that's what one of these cables is for. The other cable of course is for the camera, which isn't plugged in yet. We've got pan servo and airspeed coming from there. The airspeed is actually meant to be pushed out further than that, but it gets knocked in every time it gets put on its nose for storage. So there you are, there it is, just poking out a little bit. Something of course you may also notice, undercarriage from a Western UK mini capiche has been added. I need to add a tail wheel onto it. As you can see, proper spaghetti wiring here, and so I do a little bit of sorting out, but I don't do neatness. So there's back, current 541 receiver with a standard antenna at the top and a loaded dipole going that way. The trouble is you can't have two loaded dipoles because otherwise they come out at the same point and you can't have them at 90 degrees. Got sort of two servos in the tail. I'm just going to move up to. Now these actually came with carbon tube that's meant to go over the metal, but it was broken, and the only carbon tube I had was not tube, it was rod. So essentially what I've done, even though they are bent slightly, is I've just heat shrunk the carbon to the aluminium, and hopefully that'll be good. So yeah, wires are in there, wings are all done. Accidentally burnt one of the ailerons with some solder that I flicked off a soldering iron. But actually on my telephone I've done a sort of list of what's left to do. So we've got props of course, I've got them, I just need to put them on and make sure the motors are going the right way. Got to program the radio up, got to put the right software version and right settings on the receiver. Got to deal with the FI41 setup because it is actually pointing the wrong way round, and make sure everything moves the right way. We need to make a battery wire to basically change that to 4mm bullets, both a twin battery setup and a regular battery setup, but I don't think you'll fit twins in here somehow, so that might get left. I've also got the video transmitter, that's soldered up, it just needs putting on the tail. The V antennas arrived today from Flytron, so they're ready to put on. And the tail wheel, what I'm going to use for a tail wheel is actually a slot down near the tail that's perfect for it. Is I'm actually going to use the main wheel from the mini Talon that I never put on. It's just sort of sat on a bench upstairs, so I'm going to glue that on as like a tail wheel. This still isn't fully glued on yet, but yeah, number plate bolts as well. So hopefully if it does hit the ground a bit sharpish, it will break the undercarriage off at the number plate bolts instead of ripping out the plywood piece. But yeah, other than that, really not a lot else to do. I mean, you've seen the list, so I'll just make my way through them and then it should be ready to fly. Hello everybody and welcome to what's going to be the final clip, probably, of this build series, because everything is in, it's on. You can see video transmitter on the back there, and yeah, I've just literally finished setting up the FI41 inside. I got all the right settings on there. Motors are now working. I had a real problem getting this thing to bind properly. It was binding, but like you'd put a control in, it would happen 3 seconds later and hold for 3 seconds and then go back to level. So something was really wrong. Eventually I just over and over again repaired, reprogrammed, you know, the EZUHF receivers, things like that. And yeah, it just never really worked. I'm putting 11.5. So yeah, it's one of these things where eventually I programmed it with everything plugged in and it seemed to work. So that might be the issue that I'm having, that my laptop's USB ports aren't providing enough power for it maybe. But other than that, another thing is I found out that one of my, this is the one that actually works, red brick speed controllers were not working, just no power going. So you can see the capacitors getting warm. I have a little temperature laser thing, they were getting warm. I wouldn't work with another motor, so I tried another speed controller and it worked. So I've actually got the little Durafly ones I showed earlier on in the build. I've actually put them in. This has a load of power. I've barely been above a quarter, it's wanting to fly off the desk. So a lot of power in this. I'm using counter-rotating props. There's a 11 to 5.5p on that side. So yes, what I would say is yeah, interesting build. I'd certainly build another. It wasn't that hard to build. It's a shame that this one got so dented and so messed up. Looks well used and it hasn't even flown yet. But yeah, fun times. Hopefully the speed controllers are big enough. I mean, there's so much power running through that I think I'm very rarely going to be at full throttle. So all I've got left to do is put the undercarriage on and tape on these, which have come loose. But yeah, other than that, this is the end. And we'll fly it soon. Run cam.